Ready and rolling. Good morning. Aloha. Hello, everybody, beloved.
Good morning.
Today is solstice morning, and I'm sitting here with my delicious soul sister, newly found soul sister, Barbara Bain, and I will introduce her in just a second. Um, we are here together to create the container and launch the Earth Guardians Impact Academy. That's been in the work for a few months now. And this is my privilege, honor to offer this new program. And I will tell you a little bit about it. And then we'll dig in with Barbara, and she's going to help me set up the tone for the entire container of the next 7 months that we'll be spending with you when you jump into this beautiful, empowering program. So the Earth Guardians Impact Academy was born out of a desire to provide a fully holistic, transformative platform. It's more than a platform, but like a really deep transformation for Earth Guardians who are ready to get to the next level of success. As most of you know, I've been working for almost 28 years with people of all kinds around freedom from childhood adversity and life's trauma. Out of that was born of a desire of bringing all my other medicine tools, my work as a performer, as a visionary, as a space holder, as an at-risk youth organizer, to really provide the Earth Guardians, whoever you are, whatever age you are, whatever part of the Earth, the planet, or humanity you want to protect and be active for, with the ability to really go for it. What I mean by that is that I see really brilliant people that have issues sometimes of self-sabotage, for example. That's one of the things that we run into when we're working with childhood adversity and the remnants that are still affecting our lives. Things like not being able to find the fundings for your projects, or be distracted by addictive relationships, or not trusting the power of your mind and your connection with source to carry your project through. So I'm just naming a few things that we see, and I really wanted to create something that would take you to that level of empowerment so that you can really deliver whichever area of impact you want to have on the planet. Perhaps it's climate change, perhaps it's working with inequality, environmental issues, food, all the different aspects, like the UN detail the 17 steps of impact that we need to see happening on the planet in the next 10 years. So we got a lot of work to do. And so my contribution is to give you a full 7 months of freeing you so that you can really do your work on the planet. And out of that desire, I brought my inner weaver back to the community. And my inner weaver had been asleep for a few years as I was transitioning, from being in Hawaii and New Zealand and coming back to the mainland with a strong message to come back to the front lines. So that inner work and that inner preparation led me back to gather an amazing tribe, an amazing faculty to deliver this academy with me. And as I was looking at, what I wanted to share today on solstice, I was thinking yesterday about this is a tool and this is a part of your being that really served you well, and it's really, I have a sweetness about it, about bringing people together. I was, reflecting how in the 90s there was a lot of big performances that were created with some of the players that are coming and serving you in the faculty now 25 years later, like my friend Suzanne Sterling, from Off the Mat into the World, my friend Surya Kramer from Culture for Care. These have been people that have been dancing, singing, and creating visionary messages for the communities for a really long time. And that really touches my heart. I feel honored by their trust, and I am delighted for them to be part of this vision and bring their expertise, their brilliancy to this offering. So I think I'm gonna take a little pause here and introduce Barbara. So Barbara Bain is a beautiful sister, which felt like a return in my life. We have a deep heart connection already, though we've met just a couple of months ago. She has an MA in in-depth psychology and an MS in land resource management. Indigenous culture and land resource management, and she will express that to you probably better than I do. And she's going to be our seventh chakra wisdom keeper. We're going through one chakra at a time, one per month. She's going to be the seventh chakra, bringing the realm of spirits and bringing the realm of dream. And it felt really appropriate for her to set up the tone this morning, as we're starting this whole journey together.
So thank you, Yemaya, for making this connection and really holding space and honoring the dream. And as a depth psychologist and Indigenous woman, my work is really informed by a mix of Indigenous people and Indigenous ways of living Indigenous thought and spirituality. From many years as working with Indigenous people, Indigenous nations, and in Indigenous spirituality. I'm Shasta Indian from Northern California and lived most of my life on Indian reservations in Southeast Alaska and other places on and off reservations around the country. And bringing that together with what I felt was a foundation of knowledge and a base of knowledge from the Western world to really inform what's happening in both Indigenous and non-Indigenous realities. And what I found in between those two worlds was where we meet in the dream, as that place where we are weaving our realities with that which is more than human and other than human. And so an intelligence and a creative force that is far more complex and intelligent and full of love and absolute creation than we can often comprehend in our human mind. And so to lend ourselves as earth guardians, as people who are deeply connected with the soul of the world and the soul of the earth in relationship to the greater universe, to bring ourselves between the realms through the dream, to be informed by something that understands all things in a way that we cannot comprehend. And it is in that way that I found the dream, and I found dreaming as an informant to my reality and to my personal consciousness. And in dealing with my childhood traumas and in a lot of abandonment and primary traumas from the time I was 3 years old and on, and trying to really feel that in traditional psychology and in analytical psychology. What I found was that what I was trying to get to, in my mid-30s with traditional talk therapy, I could really find for myself, what I was trying to get to in 6 years, I could get to in 6 weeks through dreaming and through dream work. So for me to be in relationship with other dreamers and to be working with the dream and actively, not dreams of my future necessarily, but with nighttime dreams, napping dreams, waking dreams, dreams that had visited at night mostly, and to bring those into the material realm through witnessing, through conversation, through sand tray therapy. I could really look at the dream figures and look at what the other realms and the worlds were trying to work through me, so that I could see the context and the relationships in my own reality. And in that way, be informed by the sacred ultimately, because what we in Jungian psychology call the unconscious, Indigenous people refer to as the sacred.
Beautiful. I you know, in my memories of, you know, where did that start from, you know, for me, I just remembered of my first big performance that was called Where the Spirits Dances, in Northern California. And then there was If Suddenly the Tide Rose. That was the second one. And then the third one was called Tribal Dream. Cosmic, no, tribal, yeah, Tribal Dream, a cosmic something. That was a few years ago, I think exactly around 2012, on the island of Kauai. You know, usually we'd have like 40 dancers and musicians, and really carrying those visions of what is happening now, you know, and what needs to be addressed now, you know, with like really serious issues like climate change and more. So I felt like it makes sense that we've come together, and working with the dream worlds, and how, you know, our visions and our action have been guided, when there is that deep listening that comes, you know, early on, and that is guiding us and moving us forward into what's the message and the action we deliver on the planet. So thank you for bringing that clarity around. You know, I feel like the connection, you know, how we are guided by the sacred.
Yes, and in, you know, in Jungian psychology, and even in indigenous ways of knowing and in indigenous thought, when we have a relationship with our dreams and the dream figures, what we are in relationship with is spirit and spirits. Dream figures are like angels or visitors from the other realms, and they work through us in ways that get our attention. And I feel in working with now both my clients, communities, and in dream tending through Stephen Eisenstadt at Pacifica University, who's my dream work teacher. What we do is we host these dream figures in ways that allow them to speak to us and to speak to those things that we could not know any other way. So bringing forth particular pieces of consciousness that illuminate what's happened to us in the past, how that continues to work through us in terms of trauma, and giving us very specific techniques and ideas and ways of feeling through our own emotional states, so that we can address those traumas that seem to be holding us back. So the idea is that when we're acknowledging what is happening in the unconscious realm, and as it is presented through dreams and the dream figures that come to visit, that we are able to really look at those things, so that we are working with them rather than them unconsciously working us. And in terms of the work in the program as it's presented, you know, that seems to be part of the crux. And if we look at the program itself as a dream and holding space within that dream, to acknowledge those things that are coming up over the course of the 7 months, so that we can acknowledge and we can directly work with the dreams and the dream figures consciously and actively. And in doing so, you know, creating a dream journal at the beginning of the program, so that as the program continues, we're able to see through the various participants in the program who is visiting and what is visiting, not necessarily why they're here, because why kind of begets another why and another why and another why in dream work. When we host the dream and we host the dream figures, what we're doing is creating a space and a shared space of power with the sacred world, with the world of the unconscious, so that we can say who is visiting and what have they come here to offer. And that includes, in terms of trauma, even the most nightmarish figure or landscape, so that we can understand what's happening in the deepest realms of our being, and really hold an authentic space for that.
That's fabulous. And what I really, really love about this is that there is a sense of progression, you know, because I feel like there is a lot of you know, because this is mostly online program, right? I mean, there is, for people that are locals, there is, you know, some ways to touch in, you know, in the body physically, but there is that sense of progression and being able to really see what is evolving throughout the month. So it's not, you know, something that's just sitting on a shelf, and, you know, there is no access to, you know, to see, you know, in terms of, you know, accountability and progression. So I really love that we're setting that tone, you know, from the start with the dream journal, and really see where, you know, where we're moving from and where we're getting to, with a lot of clarity. And you know, that's reclaiming. It's not about control, but it's like reclaiming that deep sense of participation, right? Of like working with something and not having something that's unconscious, just, you know, riding us. Yeah, I love that piece.
Yeah, and I love how you bring in the body here, because dream is very much situated in the body. And when we feel into an image and into a dream image, one of the things that is essential and critical in dream work is we seek to understand where the dream lives in the body. You know, and as we imagine into the image that's visited us, we access in the body where does that feel most activated, and then going into that place and working from that place and actually speaking to the dream figure, and you know, addressing the dream in both this body, the human body, the subtle body within the body, and then where the body is rooted in the indigenous image. And that piece is critical in terms of earth guardians, because as we develop and get to know our relationship with the earth itself, or and the soul of the world, or what we refer to in dream work and in Jungian psychology as the anima muni, or the soul of the world, we understand where we are dreaming with the soul of the world, the soul of the earth, and where that is in relationship with the larger universe. And in accessing that place in dream work, we get to know those things that we refer to as the indigenous image. So those images that are actually rooted in the earth itself, that we are dreaming with, that come through us, that come through the body. And as we progress through the program, building a dream council of indigenous images, so that by the time we emerge from the program, we have a full dream council built of indigenous images, dreamt with the earth and the soul of the world, and launching into the world in a way that we are able to consult with those images and continue to build that dream council. So now we are in relationship not only with the body, with the deep unconscious, with the psyche, with the sacred, but also as Mama Earth and her soul is actively working through us and asking us to speak to those images that she is calling to be addressed.
That is profound. I love that. That is profound, because it's really bringing that, yeah, it's really so holistic, you know, it's going from the depth to, but also to have that console, you know, that is going to support us in our everyday movement, everyday decision as we move forward. It's just brilliant. I want to take a pause and ask you guys to let us know, where are you listening from? That would be really, really wonderful for us. You know, like if you could, you know, as we, you know, going deeper into the sharing here, and want to support you, it would support us, you know, so we're creating a, you know, like a mutual relationship. If you would be kind enough to put in the comments on your, on the Facebook Live, your name and where you're listening from. We really, really appreciate for you to take a second to do that. Thank you so much. Great. Thank you. Do you want to keep going, or?
Yeah, let's see what else wants to be known here.
I thought I would maybe, you know, mention some of the results that we're hoping people will get from, you know, from the program as we move through the chakras. you know, a lot of people come to me because they don't have clarity, and that's something that we really, you know, guarantee you that you will have clarity. You know, there is a lot of people that feel overwhelmed. You know, it's like, I want to make a contribution, but I don't know where to start. You know, so like what I call an embodied clarity, moving through the body again, you know, will be one of the results that you will have at the end of the 7 months, and probably way before that. Which is wonderful because there'll be a lot of assistance supporting you in your projects on the ground, you know, in the physical realm, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that soon. Emotional freedom is a huge one. You know, it's like, not, how are we not being, you know, like we have a sense of going in a direction, and then suddenly there is some emotional resistance or emotional waves that we're not sure how to access or deal with or even recognize, right? I feel like the Embrace has a mission of bringing emotional literacy to all of us, you know, so that we are able to recognize what are those forces working within us, you know, when there is confusion, when there is reaction, where is that base from, and how can we create a clarity so that we can then not only communicate to ourselves, but communicate to the people that we are in relation with. And keep, you know, moving forward, because I see a lot of beautiful actions and projects that are being destroyed by lack of clarity and where we come from, what's going on, what's been brewing, you know, what's being triggered, you know. So there'll be some stages, you know, we have different coaches and mentors throughout the program that will really help us move forward in our emotional freedom. And, you know, my long expertise in trauma recovery is also part of that. Empowered purpose, you know, being able to feel our deep purpose and being willing to go, yes, okay, this is who I came to be, you know, this is who I came to be, and I am willing to be on board with that guidance. That's a big step, you know, because sometimes we're like, whoa, okay, this might be too big for me, you know, am I willing to really step into those shoes? So you'll get support around that empowered purpose. Financial sovereignty, you know, is a huge piece of the puzzle. You know, so many of us, you know, are sensitive, you know, often because we came from that childhood challenge, that childhood trauma, that gave us that extra sensitivity to see the suffering around us, the suffering of humanity, the suffering, you know, that come from the different level of inequality, the suffering of Mother Earth. But because there is, you know, there is that trauma at the source, sometimes we're not fully comfortable in the financial realm, you know, in the 3D manifestation realm. So that is something also that we want to, you know, guarantee that, yes, at the end of this, you will have gone through so much transformation, and we have, you know, like some amazing, we have, you know, serial entrepreneur and impact investor and leader David Oxtenter, you know, who's also joined the faculty, and is an amazing guide and advisor around environmental businesses and projects, you know. So, you know, he's bringing a whole piece that I think will really support all of you to go, yes, you know, I can be sustained, and it's okay. For me, it's all right to be sustained. It's all right for me to be thriving as I'm serving the earth, as a visionary, as a guardian. So, you know, as I say, really, really holistic, going through all the different chakra and energy centers. And I will give you the list of the faculty precisely before we end our call today. Impactful results, you know, getting results. You know, it's so funny how sometimes, you know, we put so much energy towards something, but having the results coming back to us, you know, we're like, oh my God, you know, I've been able to achieve this, you know, with my heart, with my sweats. And I think maybe I'll bring a piece around what I call the deep feminine in around that. Now, I like the deep feminine, you know, almost more than the divine feminine or sacred feminine. You know, I feel like the deep feminine give me a sense that it's the energy, the feminine energy that lives in all of us, completely independently of whatever body we came in. So really, despite, you know, whatever gender, but that deep feminine, that that forces that lead through the heart, that forces that lead through finding our truth and honoring our truth in all our relations. And that sense of mutuality, right? Letting go of anything that looks like competition, realizing that as we come in community, as we come as tribe, this is our strength. And we'll spend a lot of time also creating community as we move through those 7 months together. I wanted to bring that piece because I work with Kuan Yin, as most of you know, I use the Kuan Yin oracle a lot in some of the videos, and the Yin Empress came really strongly today. So maybe we'll close with a little prayer around Kuan Yin. But I would like to hear more about anything else you'd like to tell us.
Well, this piece around, our value and self-worth and worth, and addressing that in terms of not only our feeling states on a daily basis and all of those internal dialogues, but paying attention in our daily imaginings, and as well as in the dream, in the nighttime dreams or in naps. But this piece where when we have these inner dialogues around self-value, self-worth, and where that translates into how we create abundance in our lives, and where our sense of worth actually manifests in the material reality, and addressing that in dream work, because we can sit with those imaginings on a daily basis. My dream work teacher says that the body is always dreaming. So we're never not in a state of the imaginal. We're never not in a state of being connected with a dream. And that's kind of one of those illusions that has to be deconstructed in our reality. Because, when we have a sense that is challenging our self-worth, or we feel a rub there, to take a moment to hold a space and to acknowledge what image is actually informing that thought, or that self-defeating action, or the inner dialogue, which is influencing our reality in a way that we are not creating abundance or bringing abundance into our lives. And so while dream work can be working with the nighttime dreams, it's also a process that is engaged throughout our reality on a daily basis, where we can continue to be in dialogue with that which is holding us back, or a dialogue that is around our sacred feminine or our deep feminine. What is emerging from the deep in both men and women regards to those dialogues that we're having around the feminine, and really acknowledging that, holding an honest space for that, holding an authentic feeling with that, and dialoguing with that image, and acknowledging in detail how that's appeared to us in our waking reality, so that we can really address it. Yeah.
I love that. That the body is always dreaming. It reminds me of a quote of, actually, I don't think it's from Marianne Rosen, but she used it a lot. My mentor in terms of psychosomatic healing, it's very cellular, muscular oriented. It's, the body is always breathing, and we have I can't remember, 33 billions of cells, and they should all be breathing at every moment. They not all are, because we contract, and that's, how we hold the emotional, weight, and and how we keep things in control until we're able to let them unwind, unfold, and for the healing to happen. So that's as I could feel, okay, all those cells are breathing now, and all those cells are dreaming now, and what a way to move right into our everyday life, breathing and dreaming at every moment, and being so connected that all our actions are coming from that deep place that is not only alive, breathing and dreaming and connected, but also grounded, so we're not flying off the handle in
yeah, and it really goes in the face of that idea that the dream is somehow an unreal reality, that is a fiction that we're creating. And in fact, even in the Australian Aboriginal tradition, in those ways, the dream is more real than the reality that we appear to be living, that we call the material world. And so when we allow ourselves to be informed by that, it's like more than half of the story. And that is informing our lives, and that is informing that this place that we are actually co-creating with. And when we invite the dream as co-creator into our lives, now we're talking. Now we're addressing not only those things that are holding us back, but the potential reality that is we are always in relationship with, and that piece that we're actively creating.
Gorgeous.
And what is informing that? And we can't really entirely know that until we go deep and invite that conversation and invite that co-creation into our lives.
It almost sounds that it's giving us a tool to bypass the ego. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it shows us what the ego looks like. What is the ego? How is it operating in our lives? And that tends to be such a mystery for most people, because we look at truths in the material world. We're seeking truth out there, that's given to us by this or that or the other. And in creating a platform for trust, which is one of these ideas that we're really hosting here. The expert on trust is really the inner world, and that deepest part of ourselves that is showing us, where do we trust, where do we not trust, what is the quality of that trust, and how do we hold space for going, okay, these are the pieces that really work here, and these are the pieces that are challenged. And when we have a sense of our own inner authority, because we understand what's operating in the inner realm and in the deepest realms of our being, as they appear in the dream, as they appear in daydreams, as they appear where the imaginal operates through us and influences our realities, when we can know those places within ourselves, then we can understand how they're playing out in the material world and in our relationships with other people. Yeah.
Yep.
Deep acknowledgement and getting over the fear of looking at those places, because what we're also talking about here is not only going, okay, this is where it appears and it seems to be traumatic to me or to others that I'm in relationship, but in the dream never offers us a challenge without also offering us the medicine in order to meet that challenge. And developing a place of trust, moving through the program where we can say, okay, that was scary or that was challenging, but where is my ally in this dream? And where is the medicine where I can meet with that place, so that I can not only work through it, but I can get to know it deeply. I can understand that and create a place of knowledge. And now what we've created is a foundation of power, personal power to move from, so that if and usually when it comes up again, we understand the medicine that can be applied to work with that place.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
Real growth.
Yeah, real growth, and learning from our mistakes, and not keep. Often I have clients that are asking me, students, it's like, why is this pattern keeps coming back? Oh no, I put myself in this situation again, but it's never the same. It's never the same, because when you go that deep, into and willing to be really looking at as you said, okay, where is the ally here, and what is the growth opportunity, so that even if some situation seems like, oh wow, okay, that's a pattern, I've been there before, to my experience, it's always, there's always a breakthrough, and there is always an unwinding, and there is always more freedom and more choice of movement, so that at some point, like the old story, right? It's like you see the hole in the road, and, the first time you fell in it, the second time you fell in it, the third time like there's all this way to go around, and then, at some point you don't even take that road anymore.
Yeah. And I love that you brought in the three, because often dreams there'll be cycles of three, that will come into a dream. And really what that's showing us is that place of, okay, what is that initial challenge? What does that challenge look like? and then how do we deal with it? And so, paying attention to numbers, to specific information that comes to us in dreams, colors, animals, as allies that will help us address, not circumambulating, not, can, to find a way around the hole in the road and then choose a different path ultimately. Yeah.
So while we take a breath here again, that would be a really great time for you guys to, give us a little hello, that is really supportive to us, and we want to support you, and we'd like you to, give us a little acknowledgement of your presence here with us today. So if you could put in the comments, like a little, hey, my name is so-and-so, and I'm listening from this place in the world. That's very helpful to us. We appreciate that very much. Thank you.
And I would also like to invite any of the dream figures, if there's a particular figure, and by dream figure, it is just, what is an image that has come into your reality in the course of this conversation, that's either that you woke up with this morning, that is still sitting in your being and in your waking reality. And what is the feeling state that is in relationship to that, and who is visiting in your world right now in terms of the imaginal, and in terms of your personal dream or your dream in the world, and just noting that and continuing to sit with that dream figure throughout the day, and see how it is informing your waking life. Yeah. And it can be one word or one sentence.
Thank you. So I think I would like to mention our other players now. Something in what you said earlier just was like, okay, this is maybe a good time to mention, so that, so accompanying me with the teaching that's, that I have, and some of the trauma recovery, the oceanic wave of feeling, how we find an empowering way to be with the uncomfortable, difficult emotions, and how they've been stored in our bodies. There'll be also times where we're going to do some qigong and different, guided journeys, and, all this different background that I come from. And then I have my gorgeous faculty. So in the realm of the first chakra, the energy center that's at the root, we have different themes, looking about belonging. The name of the module is called Belonging. And I invited Marla Mervis-Hartman to join me there. Marla has some some TEDx talk that you can check. She is a specialist in recovery from eating disorders and body image. And she's been teaching, especially, like younger women, which is a wonderful path. To really learn to not compare and find the truth of their essence outside, the inputs of conditioning and society. So that's a really beautiful sense of starting, around, okay, how do I belong here, from my own authenticity, and not from what's being fed to me, literally. And then we'll look at clearing some ancestral lineage around scarcity in that chakra as well, and really how do we connect deeply with the earth, as it's the earth elements, that roots chakra. And then in the second chakra, we're moving into the realm of water and relationship, the relating to the other. And I felt really appropriate to bring a couple to that realm. We have Tobin Zivan and his beautiful partner, Mackenzie Eisen. Hopefully I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. I've known Tobin also for 25 years. He's an incredible meditator and relationship coach, a tantra teacher and author, and Mackenzie is a love coach as well. And together they really bring that juicy, empowered sexuality, and also they have a whole set of work around ninja arguments relating, because we can spend so much time distracting ourselves with the challenge of relationships, or you know, the beauty of that relationship as a spiritual path, as a growth path, also is like so potent in our life, but we often don't have the tools to use it as such, right? So it can become like a more of a distraction, or you know, something, a hindrance, instead of being used as a power tool. So those two beautiful, Tobin and Mackenzie, will help us move beyond that and give us a lot of tools in relating. And then we'll move to the third chakra with express, and that's a realm which I love, you know, working with the power of anger and fire, you know, and using that juice of creativity. And in that chakra, I have one of my dearest, beloved sisters, Surya Kramer. And Surya and I have been working together as well for, over like almost 28 years. She has a body of work that she calls Culture for Care. And she's an amazing, I like to call her a social architect. She's very deep into understanding how groups and communities and structures, social structures, work or don't work, and has a lot of inputs in that realm as well. Tons of tools, brilliant mind, and her presentation, I think, is called Authentic Expression for us in the Earth Guardians Impact Academy. Then we'll be moving to the heart chakra, and I have a beautiful younger sister, Anya Sophia Churchill, who I've met through nutrition school, actually, a few years ago. And Anya is a Kundalini teacher. She's been on that path for over 10 years, coaching people through the heart and the Kundalini yoga practices, which she really generously is going to bring for each energy center. She will also give us a different practice on top of her offering, which is this new method that she developed called the Anahata method, and how we heal the different chambers of the heart and the different levels of pain, suffering, and come back into this beautiful place of open forgiveness, encompassing all compassionate love, unconditional love. And then we're moving to the throat chakra, and we have the brilliance, again, one of my best friends for almost 28 years, Suzanne Sterling. So Suzanne is a brilliant ritualist, activist, priestess. She's one of the co-founder of the Mat Into the World. Many of you know of the Mat Into the World, an amazing organization supporting activists through yoga to take their yoga seva outside of the yoga mat. They raise funds, and they've been building schools and birthing centers and supporting underprivileged culture in many countries in the world. You know, they go to South Africa, and they were in Haiti, I think twice, in India, and just like they go on the ground and they do the work. But you know, and in her own, Suzanne is an amazing musician, and she will be talking and teaching about the power of our voice. And her work is called Voice for Change, and how do we create our authentic voice in the world as activists, and using the power of ritual to make a huge contribution. That's very honored to have her join us. And then we'll move to the visionary, the third chakra, and we're bringing back the male energy with my advisor, David Ostenter. I mentioned him earlier. Is an absolutely brilliant mind, very dedicated to making an impact on this planet, especially around climate change. David is a serial entrepreneur, very successful. You know, he works with, you know, intelligence, collective intelligence, and you know, I mean, so much I have to look at my piece of paper. You know, he's been an advisor, director, and chairman for many, many, many projects, you know, focused on collective intelligence, and a deep ally to the deep feminine at this time on the planet. And then on the seventh chakra, we're coming back to Barbara and her work, you know, around the dream. So this is our faculty. It's incredible. We also have Anya Zamadeva, beautiful light being, who's bringing some amazing visionary music for us, during the program as well. A lot of visual artistry and special soundtracks for us to have fun and move during this journey. So as we're getting close to our time, I wonder, Barbara, if there's anything you'd like to tell us about this special day that is holding us in solstice.
Well,
or any good closing words.
Yeah, when I feel into solstice, and I know that everyone has their an honoring of this day. And I'd like us, especially in terms of our conversations and holding space around dream and what is our personal dream, what are the dreams that are working through us? What are we dreaming into our realities as to who we are and our work in the world? To really hold space for the light and the dark in equilibrium, in balance, and just acknowledging, authentically, where are we in relationship with those aspects of light, or what we consider to be light in our world? Where are we in terms of the dark and the shadow? And where those two meet, where is the dark being illuminated by the light? And how are we in relationship with that? Where does that appear in our dreams and in our imaginings? And, how can we be in an authentic relationship with that as we move forward from the stepping stone of solstice, this powerful place of equilibrium, of, where the oppositions are joined together to, illuminate our realities, our sacred realities, and to create a solid foundation from which we step on that, with that place, in relationship with that place, and move forward here in our work in the world as we honor all of creation and how it works together within our own being, and how are we in service to that in our waking realities, in our sacred reality that we dream with at night, and how are we holding space for that, to share that in the world, as we are all on the same page here in this work as healers of our world, bringing in the sacred so that we can create the change that we came here to create, and so we can be who we came here to be. Thank you, Yemaya.
I think I want to read a little closing prayer that comes from the invitation of the Yin Empress. And as you talk about balance, I know some people might feel like, oh, we're hearing so much about the divine feminine or the sacred feminine, or like the Yin energy. Well, yes, because we haven't heard of her, from her, for many, many, many centuries. So, I know that for some people it brings a little bit of a reaction. And again, when at least when I bring the deep feminine, it's really beyond any gender, any gender. It's the place in us that is receptive, that is listening, that is informed by the earth, by spirit. And it is the part of us that is not grabbing, pushing. A lot of us women come from a background of having had to push and do so much. So I know in my practice for myself, even though I feel like I'm expanding my reach in the world, I'm really, really paying attention to be sitting into my Yin energy, my Yin Empress, and trusting that my purpose is coming with that the spaciousness of an open heart, and not a thriving, pushing mind, that will at the end exhaust me. So we're really looking at sustainability, not only of the sustainability of our planet, but the sustainability of our own bodies, because our bodies are the body of the earth. We are so interrelated. So bringing the Yin Empress into this blessing of solstice, I feel like bring us back into balance as well. Hmm. Yeah, we already actually addressed a lot of that, like the not giving into the social conditioning that tells us that the feminine power is not enough. I think I will read the prayer. And the prayer goes: Divine Yin Empress, Mother of Compassion, Kuan Yin, peace, grace, light, and feminine power, infuse your being within my heart now. May I be a vessel of the grace and healing of the divine feminine. May I live my soul truth on this planet. May fear and anger be softened with love. May I find the true nature of my spiritual power as I align with you, beloved, into eternal grace of divine love. My devotion to the Yin Empress and her wish for all being to be spiritually free grows in my heart now. I receive your love and fierce protection. Om Mani Padme Hum. Blessed be. Have a beautiful day, angels, and please stay in touch with us. You can go onto the embrace.life. You'll see on the program, the Earth Guardian Impact Academy is where you can read more about it, and you can request a free consultation and see if we are a match and if you want to participate in our programs. You can look at our YouTube channel that has, empowering videos, and that's also the Embrace. On Instagram, we have daily posts, the embrace.life. And on Facebook, we have a special group, and it's the Embrace the Deep Feminine in Action. My name is Yemaya Renuka for the embrace.life, sitting today with Barbara Bain. We wish you the best. I hope. Until we meet again.